Well, 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 look who's first today. How is your peak run with Kenny? You getting that right? It looked like you were having fun. We have been working pretty hard this morning on fixing up all the input handling in the game. It looks like it's working pretty well. The one thing I think we still have to do, and this is something people have been asking about for a while actually, and I never planned to not do it, I just never did it, which is swapping items. So like when you drag this item over here, what if it swapped the one you were holding and it doesn't? To be honest, I don't think we're gonna probably do that now. Adam knows about my streams, a secret fan. I'm the biggest Pige fan in existence. But short of this, we could just say you can't drag things over here if you're already holding an item. And I think that's probably reasonable. I guess you're clicking both a destination and a source. And I wonder which one of these is causing this thing to happen. Let's put a breakpoint. Hang on, how do we do this? Let's click this and then put a breakpoint here and see which one gets hit first. It is the source. Okay. Does it do anything? Set drag location? I mean, in this case, we're already holding an item, so I don't think it actually should do anything. Then click destination does not get hit. That's a little bit weird. What is going on when I do that? Remember when he used to support you? So long ago. It's easy to forget. It's like the last time Pige got a point. I just can't keep track of these things. And I take notes all the time. Really goes to show you. It's ancient history now. So started dragging set to true. I wonder if we just turn this off. If you're already holding an item and you click an item source, just don't do anything. Also, why do we do this? Because we can pick up the item. Okay, yeah, so if is holding item, just don't do anything. We return. Not just return, return. How's your afternoon going, Pige? You are, as far as I know, the only chatter here right now. Okay, so what happens now? Yeah, so I don't think this is what people would expect to have happen, but this is at least better than what was happening. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think we're going to leave it like that. I can help you code. That's not why you got those points. That was for being a helpful person. But the day that you help me code, Bash, is the day you get 2 points at once. No, I don't know about that. Although I have given out more than 1 point in the past before. Hey, Kevin. All right, so this. While holding an item, clicking another one. Okay, so solution, just reject when you click an item source while already holding something. We can't easily handle swapping for now because we need to modify will accept item to handle cases where a swap is possible. And it's just not really worth it. I have a meeting now. Back up to the ivory tower. How short-lived. We're nothing to him, Pige. Nothing. We are meaningless. We are pawns. Okay, so we've checked off pretty much everything. We've also gotten rid of this. I couple this to the camera, probably means it represents this. So I'm just not going to do anything about this for now. I refactored enough in the last 24 hours. So how many hours is peak? Because if I had to guess, without really seeing too much about the game, I would expect it to be somewhere in the like 4 to 5 hour range. I feel like it'd probably get boring if it played out for too much longer than that. How long to beat peak? Okay. I don't know if I'm spoiling this for anyone, but yeah, it takes about 5.5 hours. Huh. I wonder how many people feel like it's enjoyable the whole way through. I guess with any multiplayer game, there's like half an hour you kind of spend just learning the game, maybe an hour. So if it were to end after like 3 hours, you'd probably be like, oh, that was kind of a ripoff. Pretty quick. Depends on how good you are. You have to restart every time you all die. Mountain layout changes each day. Each day being just a death, or like one playthrough spans multiple days. Hey, Lantern. Welcome back. Okay, so write notes on all this stuff. Yeah, let's check in what I've done so far. We got to get rid of any of these that are here. Whoops, that was very important. I need to get rid of just this. All right, get rid of this. Get rid of, I guess, any of this stuff. Is dragging is false when you pick up an item? Okay. Oh, shouldn't this do reset drag? Reset drag state? Yeah. Each 24 hours, the mountain changes layout. I see. How do they explain that in the game? Because, like, Blueprints did something kind of similar, but it was like a core part of the game, and it was every day, I guess. If you have 4, you'll probably be in like 3 to 4 hours since it's harder for everyone to die. Oh, yeah. You know, I was thinking about this. So my wife and I both played the Slay the Spire video game a lot, and then we got the board game. And the board game, the main difference, besides that it's a board game, is that it can have 1 to 4 players, whereas the video game only has 1 player. And I thought, man, balancing Slay the Spire for 1 player was already probably impossibly difficult. But now you have to balance it for 4 different configurations. 1 player, 2 players, 3 players, and 4 players. And then for any of these that aren't 1 or, well, I guess anyone in this category, you need to balance them for any set of characters you might have. So with 4, you have to have them all. But with 3, you could omit one of the characters. And like, what if that had an impact on the game? What if 2 players are overpowered, but 4 players are too weak or something? Has a timer on the main screen that says new mountain layout. But they don't explain why it's happening or something. Oh wait, oh, you mean each 24 hours of real world time, there's just a new mountain for people to play? Because if so, then yeah, that makes a lot more sense. So it's basically just like an out of game thing. And it's not like you go to sleep in the game, you wake up and the mountain changed on you. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Okay, so we fixed this stuff, and then I think there's a change in camera that doesn't need to be there at all. Yeah. All right, so the only change, oh wait, no, there's a change here. Oh, that's also something we can delete. So now this goes away. Perfect. Now we just have this. So we fixed 2 issues here. Actually, I guess what we can do is just check in the fix to this. I'll just say fix 2 issues with dragging items, So the first issue is that the distance threshold in player held item would get calculated even after we determined that you were already dragging the item, meaning that you could start to drag the camera if you got too close to the drag start location. The second issue is that weird things would happen if you tried clicking an item source while already holding an item. I now just forbid this from happening. People expect item swapping to happen anyway, although that's harder to code for now. There we go. Hey, Diamond. you can arrange 4 friends to play a co-op game, you earn the right to just have stupid fun with unbalanced stuff and smashing the enemies. So yeah, I can get that, but imagine if it went the other way around, right? Imagine if you were too weak with 4 players, or even with 3 players. You'd probably feel like, oh man, this game's way too hard. I've only played the board game once so far, and I've only played it, well, yeah, pretty much once, and only with 4 players. And it took us like, I don't know, 6 hours to beat 3 acts. So we spread it over 3 sessions, and we did manage to beat it, and we were pretty powerful at the end. Now, all of us have played Slay the Spire, so but that probably had something to do with it. But I do wonder how much harder will it feel, because the video game feels very hard. You like Slay the Spire? I do like Slay the Spire. Have you ever played Blotcher? I played for about half an hour and then stopped and never went back. I didn't dislike it. I just wasn't really hooked on it. Whereas Slay the Spire, from like 5 minutes in, I was already kind of hooked on it. All right, so anything that can be improved here? That's the only thing I haven't looked at. I don't think so. We added a little bit of code, but I think this is fine. Okay. Whew. Yeah, actually, I don't know how many people try to figure out all the strategies in Slay the Spire themselves. I talked to a friend who beat pretty much the entire game, and he said he like thoroughly looked up some other strategies, but I'm trying to avoid looking up any other strategies, so I'm like just stuck, and I cannot figure out how to beat Ascension level 20 with the character that I'm on. But as a result of like trying over and over and over again, I was finally like, okay, this game is taking too long. So I got a mod yesterday that speeds up a lot of the animation times. And I realized that by having the game take longer, you think a little bit harder about your turns. So I'm probably doing worse with that mod. Then again, it was also like 11 p.m. when I was trying this. All right, so notes on item stuff. Let's see if we've got anything about this so far. Item destinations. This is sort of close. I'm writing this because we have item destination and asynchronous travel times. It may not be obvious in the future how to work with this. In general, I guess we should write something on input handling. It's not even item stuff, is it? Yeah, it's on input handling. I don't think we have anything like this, do we? You know what'd be nice is just, what if we just load up this folder, just see what we have. Adding adventures, bug workarounds, deleted code. No, I don't see anything. All right, I'll just save this as input handling. All right, I wanted to write down these 2 notes. Okay, so item drop zones. Item drop zones are beneath NPCs in the scene hierarchy, so that they get input events first. This way, we don't need random NPCs to be coupled to player held item to know that you're dragging an item. This really only matters for NPCs that both spawn a dialogue and are destinations for items. And are item destinations, e.g. the slimes, the guildmaster. Okay, camera priority. All right, so let me think about this. Player held item needs to get input events before the camera so that it can know whether you're dragging an item. However, camera needs, yeah, and then camera needs to get input events before everything else so that you don't drag the camera on an NPC or a signpost and then end up opening a dialogue when the drag ends. So that was all right. I prefer Monster Train. It's got more things going on with it. Second one just came out recently. I played some Monster Train 1. It also didn't really grip me too much, and I'm not totally sure why. I looked at it almost like an expansion pack for Slay the Spire, because it's a card game. So, I mean, there's a lot of similar mechanics or concepts to learn, like value and tempo. But then one of the things, I was talking to a friend about this, and one of the kind of weird things about Monster Train is like a base card, I'm just going to make this up, might do like 2 damage. then you get like mods on the card and it ends up doing like 40 damage or something. And it's such a difference. Whereas in Slay, a base card might do like 6 damage, and then you upgrade it and it does like 9 damage. So it doesn't feel like that one card got super powerful. It just got a little bit more powerful. It's not necessarily a bad thing either way. It's just one of the notable differences between the games, I feel. All right, so this has been done. I didn't test the quick move menu. That might be that might be difficult. Write notes on input handling. I had to sneeze, but I couldn't sneeze. If only I didn't have to mute the mic. All right, so quick move menu. Let's go test this out. I don't feel like Slay the Spire. I gain too much power until I get the correct combo of things to become immortal. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where knowing what these combos are probably would help a lot. Like I said, I feel kind of like I'm stuck. And if I had some kind of basic knowledge, like, okay, here's a general thing. In Slay the Spire, if you knew the average number of turns from the get-go, you could use that to make decisions. Most players probably don't, or even like the average number of enemies in a fight. Same thing. The game doesn't tell you this. So let's say you didn't know what this thing was about a game. You had a single target ability in just any random game and it does 5 damage. And you have an AoE targets all enemies for 1 damage each. You can never evaluate this in a vacuum. Because now let's say I said, you know what? Every single battle you fight is just against one target. It's like, well, then the AoE is completely pointless. You're never going to want to do 1 damage when you could do 5 damage. So here, if I told you every single battle is going to have 500 enemies, and you'd probably be like, okay, well, that's better. Yeah, so anyway, there are things like that that aren't super clear. And then like breakpoints, you're pretty much just not going to try to figure out as a regular player that make it harder, I think. Eric, so how long did it take to convert to the keyboard input style over QWERTY or otherwise? So there are 2 things that are different about this. One is I'm using Colmac, and the other is that it's just a weird keyboard to begin with. So the weird keyboard part of things is very fast for English, at least. This took at least a year. And if you want to see the video I made on that, it's that one right there. But now I finally feel like I'm sort of back to my regular speed on Colmac as I was on QWERTY. So I did not learn Colmac to try to improve my speed. And if you type on QWERTY in some like weird suboptimal way, like let's say you're hitting 40 words per minute because you just never learned how to type, then learning a different layout is probably going to make you actually learn the layout and be faster. But if you were typing at like 150 words per minute on QWERTY, you're probably not going to get too much faster by switching layouts. It could reduce strain or something like that. That is hard for me to comment on because I didn't have strain to begin with, but I don't think it's going to make you faster. All right, so quick move menu. Let's go test this. I'm very worried about this because I don't want to spend more time working on this. So let's see what we got here. That worked. That's good. That also worked. All right, dragging this to the warehouse is a little bit weird. Also, it looks like he's just dropping it kind of where I took it from. Did that just mess up? It looks like it's kind of working. Yeah, it looks like it's kind of working. Putting things in the warehouse that were already in the warehouse is a little weird. Also, hold on a second. Was that giving me... Is it giving me a treasure chest? It is. Oh, that's a bug. I don't know what I was thinking with that. Make the forest stop granting treasure chests. All right, I think the quick move menu is working well enough. Again, hard to tell completely. Oh, I see what's happening. I drag this. If I let go right there, it doesn't actually... Oh, it does work. It doesn't work right here, though. I have to click again. Hmm. They're just gonna walk around forever with the treasure chest on their head. Oh, funny. Okay. I think we're fine. And then what about any issues with like spell books or something? No, I think it's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Okay, cool. So these things are done. This I'll save for later. I don't want to do this. We're saving all this refactoring stuff. Oh, there's one little thing I can do. Is clickable, I think. Yeah, this is something we can probably get rid of pretty quickly. So it has is clickable, and if it's not clickable, then it just returns. But the only thing in the entire game that sets this to false is hire adventurer. And I think that was based on an assumption that's not needed anymore. So where does this get hit? It's just clicking the guildmaster. Yeah, so now they're considered to not be clickable because they just popped up a dialogue. So if I do try clicking them, it's not going to do anything. Yeah, that's kind of stupid. I don't think there's any reason for that. Let me try this again. So I click them here. If I click them again, yeah, I don't think we need to do that. You can just get rid of that, get rid of this, and then just press F5 and fix all the errors that pop up. Is clickable. This is a guildmaster state. So now we don't even need the guildmaster to be a thing here, right? What makes this special? On complete tutorial probably does. I'm not even sure about that. I'm not sure how I feel. But yeah, now the functional difference is that you can click the guildmaster again and pop up that dialogue again, which is not something players even need to do. And then same thing once you've gotten all the adventurers. Yeah. Fine. Doesn't really make a difference. Actually, I should test that one last thing out. What happens if you click the guildmaster, then click someone else, then click the guildmaster? Yeah, it works. And we can use this dialogue, right? Yeah. Easy. So more code just deleted. Get rid of guildmaster.is clickable. It wasn't being used meaningfully. I think it only existed when hiring an adventurer was done after paying for them. So you shouldn't have been able to back out of the hiring process, since it would have wasted your money. Yeah. All right, so that part's done too. Where did that go? Right there. All right, so here we are. Fix the guildmaster's outline so that it turns blue or white appropriately. Okay, I don't think we have this concept anywhere else. The garbage slime. Yeah, they don't get highlighted as an item destination. Like you can see the extractor is being highlighted blue and white. So it's very obvious that it's a destination. The slime is not highlighted that way. And yeah, same thing with the guildmaster. If I drag an item over there, it's getting highlighted white, but it should be getting highlighted blue and white. I don't know how hard that'll be to fix. We have some parameters here. It doesn't have alter line over time, but that should only be true when you've started dragging an item. And I don't even know if we can detect that easily. Guildmaster. All right, let me think about this. We need to know that you started or you like picked up an item. Do we have something like that already? Any actions? So here are all the ones we have. Anything about an item? Built a shop? No, you know. Event mouse is holding, press down. I don't think I want to come up with a hack solution though. I think I want to do just the proper solution here. You can drag food to the guildmaster. You can't drag food to the guildmaster. You saw me drag a mushroom. That actually wasn't a food item. That is the mushroom friend. And yeah, so these are the adventurer power-up items. And we have 10 adventurers. So there's one per adventurer. So this is the warriors thing. This is the paladins thing. This is the archers thing. This is the mushrooms thing. This is golems thing. Witch doctor, cleric, rogue. That brooch is for the spirit caller. And what are the other ones? That's for the mage. And I think I missed one of them. I don't know which one. Yeah, so anyway, you can drag all of those to the guild. These are basically like equipping your adventurers almost, but not exactly. Actually, has notably changed, gotten better, unlike your bad game botland. Had to throw an install in to bring you back down to earth. Yeah, thank you. But you said bad game twice. Also, I hear this a lot from people that like, oh, it looks like the game has gotten better. The game hasn't really significantly changed in the last couple months, at least when you're just looking at this stuff. There are a couple new adventurers, and yeah, sure, I just showed some different items that like these graphics were already drawn before. Hey, Cavino. Hey, that gamer. Thanks for the raid. And thanks, Becca. Yeah, welcome in, everybody. Hey, Cavino, I wanted to ask you, and I don't want to add any pressure by asking this, but I keep going to your YouTube. Have you made any new videos? I thought you changed the schedule so you could make YouTube videos. You got to stay to the player holding an item or not? Could hook into that. Yeah, I'm thinking of basically just doing that on an event and then having the guildmaster listen for that event. I'm not totally sure I want to do that. I guess it's also got to be the right kind of item. But yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing. Hey, Brainerd Games. Could have an event for picking up a suitable item and another event for dropping it. Fell in a cycle of scrapping and remaking, decided I'm just going to post and get better over time. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about it, because I did the same thing when I started making videos. I produced stuff that I'm like, I'm going to spend forever on this, and it didn't pay off. If you make high quality videos from the get-go, I think the algorithm will pick them up. But then I think you need to have at least made some videos to know what high quality looks like. Remade the video, same video at least 4 times now. I see. Can you subscribe to someone on YouTube and not see when they're live, but see any recorded videos they've made? Because I kind of had this problem with a bunch of streamers that I followed. I wanted to see what YouTube videos they made, but not like I go to Twitch when I want to see someone's live. Never ask me for new videos. Well, you never told me what your schedule is for making videos. Cavino and I have talked at length. The only thing I confidently know is I don't know anything. Well, you're probably improving quite a lot. Also, I don't know what you're using for video editing software, but I use DaVinci Resolve, and they have a really good free version. And then I finally bought the software after that. I think it's pretty good. But then again, it all depends on like what kind of stuff you're trying to do. Because if you're trying to do like Adobe After Effects stuff, it's a little bit harder in DaVinci Resolve. Oh, DaVinci Studio. Okay. Yeah, I think it's really good. Also, if you do want the paid version of DaVinci Resolve, you can buy hardware and it comes with the software. So you get some little cool hardware thing if it actually helps you. I want to sign up. Your hardest pupil yet? No, I was just talking in Cavino's stream about this. The mentoring stuff isn't really big anymore. I was doing public mentoring for free for a year, and I switched to private mentoring, private paid mentoring, and I have one mentee. And we've done a couple of sessions. I think it's been good. I'm not really advertising this service or anything. I'm also not even sure I want to take on other mentees right now. Certainly not Pies. Pie should be insulting me the entire time. Someone gave me their extra keys and they have it. Wow, that's super nice. Yeah. Okay, so is this worth doing? I don't think so. And I don't know why the Guildmaster has an outline that is larger than everyone else's outline. This has line thickness of 1. How is it? Wait a second. How does it get larger than line? Get outline shaders right here. Is this used for something? Oh, I guess it's used by the interface that I have. I've been learning from you, so I guess that makes you my mentors. No, I was happy to help people for free for that year too. And then I thought, I've got to balance how much time it takes. And yeah, then I just stopped advertising it. The public session should have been the advertisement for the private ones. I should have continued with like one free public session per month or per year or something like that. Let people know every once in a while that it still exists. So yeah, I can't figure out why the line thickness on the Guildmaster is more than the other characters. Or maybe it's not more. I'm not actually sure. Or maybe we double it or something. No, this is like 1 pixel, right? So why when I drag an item does it become huge? Oh, because it's supposed to be altered over time. I see. Do I feel like fixing this then? Could we fix it for all the characters at once maybe? How do we even do that? Didn't I run into problems when I tried to do this the other day? Like if we try doing this, this is not getting highlighted and then it just outright disappears afterward. So I think as long as you're holding an item, it should just get outlined. And then we could even have a process that does that. I guess the same thing's going to happen with the Guildmaster though, right? Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to worry about this. Let's just not deal with it. This is the same issue as the slimes though, where the outline goes away if you hover over the Guildmaster. So I'll save this for later. Yeah, let's just move this down the list. Gotta grab food. I think my stomach is eating something. Okay. Can I have an info event highlight that checks the player's holding items and player hovering over an item or a word? So in holding or mousing over an interactable item, listeners could update. You've got a tutorial pop up. So I'm aware of how I do this, at least at a high level. I think the problem and the reason why I'm not going to do this right now is because you might have noticed this here. If I drag an item to the slime, you can see it's highlighted white right now. If I hover over it, it's still white, and I hover away and it goes off. So I already need to fix that problem. And that's pretty similar to the guild problem as well. And they're just not that important. Like when you start hovering an item that can go to the guild. So I click a potion and I try dragging it. This doesn't get highlighted at all because it's not a valid target. But if I drag something that is acceptable, the guild master just turned white and it gets a thicker outline as I get closer. So like, okay, it's not glowing, but it's still obvious you can bring it there. And even if it weren't, watch this. Your workers still know where it can go. So your workers will pick all this stuff up and then walk over there anyway. So even if you never knew you could bring this there yourself, which I'd be very surprised, then you will still figure it out. So yeah, I don't think it's a big deal. All right, let's keep looking through the list. So give the guild master some collision so that workers don't have to kiss him to give him the items. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. So we do this with the chef slime? Do we actually do it? We don't do it with the chef slime. I guess because the chef slime is off the path. Wait, it's not off the path. What? Yeah, what? Never knew you could bring it there. I played the demo for the first time this past week. Oh, the thing that you can bring there does not exist in the demo. These items are only going to exist in the full version of the game. So you could not bring things there. What I was saying about this is when you're playing the full version, it'll be very clear to you that you can bring the items there. But yeah, in the demo, it wasn't possible. So yeah, you didn't miss anything. Okay, so yeah, why does it not look like characters are walking all over the chef slime? They stop moving like there. Why? Oh, because here the box only covers exactly the slime, but on the Guildmaster, for some reason, if I recall correctly, yeah, I made it very large. I don't know why I did that. I think we just need to shrink this. We could actually, knowing where it's positioned, we can make it a little bit taller and a little bit farther to the left, but like that might look good. Let's try that out. No, yeah, you didn't miss an entire feature in the game. Also, this is like a huge feature too, so if you missed this in the final game, it would be very bad. All right, so let's see. How close to the Guildmaster do they get? We want them to exercise social distancing. No, they're still getting way too close. Why are they getting so close? All right, whatever. Let's just add in a thing that stops them from doing that. So I guess we'll just take whatever item display has, this, and we'll just paste this on the Guildmaster. And then make the collision shape just cover their body. Done. And then make the clickable area, I guess, a little bit bigger. I guess we could have just kept this with whatever it was. Yeah, sure. That's fine. All right, how's that look now? Okay. Again, just making sure they're not getting super close. That's pretty good. Yeah, does that look good? They're... I don't know, actually. I don't like how they're going to the right of him. I want them to go, like, from below. Why is that happening, though? This is set so that... Okay, you know what I could do? I could probably just extend this a little bit. And then they'll probably approach from the bottom. This shouldn't be that hard to do. I'm just dragging some rectangles around. Ah, that's exactly what I want. Great. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Cool. So add collision to Guildmaster. This way the skeletons don't have to get super close when they drop off items. Done. Okay, now makes forest stop granting treasure chest. So if I recall correctly, there's a % chance 0.05 F. Yeah, here it is. Tweak chest dropping logic. Delete it all. Yeah, that's it. So now when we grant forest items, we shouldn't get treasure chests. Treasure chests are just going to be things you purchase. It's not that they can't ever rarely drop, but I don't want to balance that right now. So let's just make them not drop at all. And now if I right click this a bunch of times, we shouldn't see a single treasure chest. Yeah. Cool. Stop treasure chest from dropping from battles. Well, the 5% I just coded the other day, so it wasn't super long ago. All right, track how many of these items you've collected. The guild can save this information, add a section to the adventure UI. All right, so here's how this stuff's going to work. We are going to have a certain number of, so like each adventurer has one designated item. And each adventurer has like a pseudo level with pseudo experience points. So level 1 maybe like 0 out of 5 items. And then level 2 maybe 0 out of, I don't know, 15 items or something, and so on and so forth. And this might give you maybe like +1 power, +10 life. And then maybe this one gives you like +2 power, +20 life, and so on and so forth. So we require more and more of this, and we start giving you more and more stats for it too. So it's basically just like leveling up. It's just another experience point sort of thing. I still haven't totally figured out what we're calling this mechanic. Is it equipment? Is it research? Is it some other, I don't know, in-world explanation? So where do we want to save this? We're giving this to the entire adventurer class. Infinite growth, or is there a cap? I think it'll be infinite, but I think it's going to be like how almost any other game works. Like picture Pokemon, for example. Pokemon, I think, had a max level of 99 or 100. But like, how often did you actually get to the max level for just casual play? You just got to whatever you needed to beat the Elite Four, or maybe you played for a little bit after that, and then you just stopped. So maybe you got to like level 60 or 70 or something. So whether the limit had been 100 or whether it had been 100 million wouldn't have made much of a difference to most players. So I think it's going to be the same thing in Skeleseller. It'll be like an infinite level, but you beat the game at level 15 or something. So sure, if you want to get to 30 or 50 or 100, you could, but game's not going to force you to do that. All right, guild can save this information. What does guild save data have in it right now? Nothing. Doesn't even exist. Is it game progression save data? Yeah, this is kind of where we save guild stuff. I guess the guild never really had to save this stuff. We have adventurer data somewhere. We save it right in the entities themselves. So we could save this in a component in each entity. So I guess one of the questions is, suppose we have a mode where you can get like 5 of each type of adventurer. So you have like 5 rogues or 5 mages, something like that. Would we want this system to affect them all? I don't really think this is something worth answering too much, unless I felt very strongly one way or the other. And I don't think I feel strongly here. I think I'd want like leveling up to affect each individual one. But if they did affect individual ones, you wouldn't be able to pick which one. So I think we'll just have it affect the whole class. Affect the whole class for now, since choosing the upgrades sounds a bit ridiculous at the moment. Hey again, Codex. All right, so it doesn't really matter where we store this. So let's say it's in the guild. Then when we load the guild, load game, load from, here it is. Where do we make the guild? Create guild. Right there. Where do we load adventurers? Right there. So we load all the adventurers and then we load the guild, and the guild is basically going to give them the stats that they need. Is there any problem with that? I don't think so. It's pretty much just loading how many of these things you've gotten before. What's your Chinese food order? I don't get Chinese food a lot. I get it maybe like, actually, I don't really ever get it. I don't know what it would be. Maybe General Tso's chicken. That's pretty good. Well, I think it's probably like filled with sugar, right? I get Thai food a lot though. Pad Thai is my favorite thing. So we load adventurers first, so then we can just pipe in some extra stats. But then how will the UI show this stuff? Also, do we save anything in the adventurers panel? Where does that happen? Load from save data. Somewhere we must select an adventure. Oh, I don't know where that happens. It's probably from somewhere in the loading setup. We go to just adventurers panel and we look at selected adventurer. On character selected. I bet this is called from somewhere, or oh, there's a loaded from game save. Oh, well then that's that answer. Loaded from game save, or loaded game from save. And where's that done? At the very end. Okay. Yeah, pretty reasonable. Does this have access to the town? Of course it does. So then it has access to the guild from that. Although we'd assume that the guild exists if we do that. Still just trying to figure out what's the best location to save all this information. And then render it as well. So this is another thing that typically happens with experience points in a game. Let's say you're level 7 in just any arbitrary game. And let's say it takes 500 experience points to level. The two ways you can render this are like you're at 0 out of 500, or you're at like 4,500 out of 5,000 because it took you 4,500 to get to level 7. I think this is a little bit clearer, especially once you get to very, very large numbers. Then you can tell how much you're getting and how much you need. So I'd like to go with this route. And that just means representing this information in a little bit of a different way. So sprite, how many you have, how many it takes to get to the next level. So it should always show zero. Oh, wait, no, should it? You might want to know how many you had though, right? When you hit the next level, you may be curious to know how many of these you've gotten though. Love the in-game art and starter logo. Thanks. Yeah, I can't take credit for any of it, but I'm also a fan. Definitely check out the credits thing there. Maybe on hover, it gives you the full value. Yeah, on hover, it's probably going to show you a bunch of information. I'm not positive people are going to want to know this. So imagine, again, just you're in some arbitrary game and you're level 60 and the max level is 99. And you know that to get to 61, it takes 1,000 experience. Do you care how much it took to get to 60, I guess? And some people are going to say yes, and some people are going to say no. I imagine most people probably don't care because it's just historical information at that point. Like Pokemon didn't show this information, did it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Anyway, maybe we show it somewhere. I guess they were items at one point. So is there any other problem with putting in this in the guild? We know for sure that you're going to have the guild because we create it right there. And I guess regardless of where we save it, I guess it doesn't really matter. And then what about once you acquire one of these things? The guild master just has item was brought to the guild master. So to do store this in some persistent location. And then we're going to need to save this. So if it's the guild master anyway, it might as well be in the guild information. Then again, it could bubble up to anywhere. Yeah, I think the guild makes the most sense. And the guild doesn't have any save data, does it? Save, load. No, it doesn't have either. Okay, the guild will have it. Can you stand up so we can see the graphic? I mean, you can see it like this, right? I just zip this right up to my Adam's apple. They have to. I do if it's heavy on idling and I want to know how long I have to come back to. It doesn't really apply for this game. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter too much. Actually, there are other versions of this Hepta. Although I guess you just had to search Amazon for it. Type in like Skeleseller merch or something. Track how many of these you collected. Guild can save this information. Okay, so let's go save this somewhere. How are we going to save it now? So what the guild can do... Oh, wait, we have seen items tracker. Maybe the seen items tracker can just track this. Although it only tracks which ones you've seen. It doesn't track how many you've collected, right? Yeah, it doesn't. Also, there's unacquired new item. Very interesting. And this is only when you haven't seen it. Indeed. Because why don't we do this for every single item you've ever gotten? Like, we could make a what do we even call it? Like, processed items tracker. When you sell, it would have like num items sold, num items recycled, num items, or like number of adventurer items collected. And what else can you do? Num items ground up. So the extractor or the weapon grinder. And maybe like num chests open, something like that. Oh, take care, Diamond. Thanks for dropping in. I think something like this would be good for achievements. So yeah, maybe we should just start this now. I think that's a pretty smart idea. And I think the recycler is already trackling. I said recycling. I said trackling. I think they're already tracking whatever it is that, how many items you used. Yeah, num items recycled. This wouldn't have to be here. But then we need a save data migration thing if we're not going to have this here. I'd be invalidating people's save files, or I need to write a migration. Okay, I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to go the process item tracker route. I'll write this down. I should make a process item tracker since we'll eventually want this for many item types. And the way I think this is going to work is these will all just be dictionaries of item ID to a quantity. And then we just save it. So it should be pretty straightforward. All right, let's go to scene items tracker. Wherever this is saved, we'll just save this in, actually we should put it here. Processed items tracker. Cool. This goes into items, processed. And then we need some kind of event for this, for when you get a new adventure item. I'll think about that. So this is going to be a dictionary of item ID to an int. Trying to refactor one of my Postgres tables. It's called quantity, which is currently an int, but now I want to populate it via some function on another table that has a foreign key to the table. These functions are pretty expensive, so I'm wondering if I should use a trigger to update that quantity field or if I should use a view. I've never really gotten to that depth in databases of figuring out triggers versus views. Everything I've done has always been so straightforward because I never got to like a mega scale of a product, basically. So I don't know. But if performance is your concern, I would just say benchmark it. And the other thing is, I guess you need to think about this too. Like, do you have any sort of caching layer on top of the database? Some like, memcache, Redis sort of thing that is going to prevent a call from the database in most cases anyway. What do you use to benchmark? So it depends on what database, but I would figure out what you're benchmarking first. Is it like round trip calls? Is it just the database? Is it like CPU load on the machines that the database is running on? Yeah, I would need to look into that for whatever you're using. Why doesn't Battle start automatically if I have it on? What are you talking about, Becca? Like, what's the set of steps that you expect it to be on and it's not? Okay, so this will be... how do I want to say this? Because a lot of these cases, there's more than one way to process an item. So I think we have to split these up based on what was used to process the item. So in this case, maybe we say like adventure items collected. This involves bringing an adventure item to the guild. Okay, so now we want to add an item ID or like collected adventure item. And then we just put this here. It should know what to do. Getting really stuck. I guess we do need to do try. Get that and then count +1. If this doesn't exist, what does this return? Isn't there a better way to do this? I always forget this about C#, and I always look it up. C# increment value in dictionary. Because there's a best way to do it. Yeah, try get value and then just current count +1. Okay, that's what we have. So that means that this must emit. Let's go to a C# playground. It must emit 0. That's not there. So we do one of these. Go over to here. Taco Bandit. Thanks for the resub. How's it going, Taco Bandit? Okay, so dictionary test equals this. I guess just int. And then test.try get value 0 out int output console.write line output. Okay, so I expect this is a 0. Yeah, it does. Howdy, I'm alive. is how are you doing? The question that prompted I'm alive? Because if so, I guess that means you've seen better days. Seems they lowered salary bands significantly from 2021. Did they raise stock bands though? Like, is total compensation roughly the same? I see Taco Bandit. Okay, well, I hope you're doing better on the next resub. Total comp is lower now. Yeah. Okay, so this looks good. Collected adventure item. I'm not certain that I like this style of doing things. Like, I wonder if we should keep a dictionary of dictionaries of item IDs to ints, and we should keep track of which thing they were processed for. I think that would make the most sense. So we do something like this. Dictionary, dictionary. This would be like item processing category to item ID int processed items. Remember when they were giving L5 SDs 400K offers to poach them from Google and Meta? Yeah, I still think big tech compensation is nuts. Being alive is my baseline for an okay day. Anything good that happens is a +1. Anything bad is a +0. That's a good way of looking at things. Not a -1. I like that. Yeah, I think this is a much more future-proof way of doing things. So I think it's what we're going to do. So public enumeration item processing category. We'll say like adventure items. And then the rest of the stuff I don't really care about. But we eventually want to have like sales and stuff in there. And the way we could do this, we already know we're going to have a whole bunch of these to begin with, right? So I guess let's just do this with all item data. Like we don't need to dynamically populate this. Although why wouldn't we? Yeah, why wouldn't we? We need this, yeah. For each item processing category in this. Wait a sec though. These are gonna get saved to disk. So we need to give these numbers. So we should probably put none equals 0. And then instead of enum, we do enum functions or something like that. Didn't I do that? Get valid values? Yeah. And then take in the item processing category. Okay, how we looking? Pretty good, pretty good. Even better. Better question is, how are you doing? Well, I'm better than alive. I'm feeling pretty good about today. I'm feeling pretty good in general, too. Life has been moving very fast lately. I don't talk about my personal life too much, but just I think things have been going pretty well. There have been a lot of just different events and just things going on, and yeah, I think, and then work has been good too. So working on Skeleseller, I think we're moving forward on things in a good way. So yeah, I'm generally pretty happy about this. So we're gonna add here now is add processed item. So this should not be possible. Let's just delete that. So we get the category. We know that that'll exist. We get this stuff. And we do this, right? So then collect adventure item is really just a shortcut for add processed item like that. Oh, we also probably want to pass in a quantity, don't we? Yeah, in quantity. And then this should have a quantity as well. Okay, I think that's better. You have a day job? I do not have a day job other than this. IT salaries fluctuated post 2021. Oh yeah, I remember the R&D thing that was talked about. I wonder if that did cause a lot of that changing. Either way, total comp is still very high for big tech. All right, now what's this about? Constructor should not follow a property. Okay, put you up there. All right, so I think this class is pretty straightforward. Should not follow an enumeration. Okay, fine. All right, now I think it's pretty straightforward. Still trying to figure out how to use that keyboard so fast. I mean, it's a lot of practice is a short answer. So we need a way of saving and loading this, which should just be referencing it from something. So let's go do that. Game progression tracker. Actually, I'm not sure where we should save this. Progression save data. Tip system, storeroom, storeroom, storeroom. I think it can just get its own save data. Yeah, I think it can just get its own save data. So public. Can we just do this? This doesn't make any sense, does it? No, this doesn't make any sense. We should make like a proper save data out of this. Excuse me, which I guess is just the dictionary of dictionaries that we have. Although, what's the point of doing that? Why don't we just pass this thing in? I guess encapsulation is the point. Because, yeah, we'd end up doing this, and this would look like a mess. Okay, fine. I've convinced me. Processed items, save data. No. Cool. All right, now this needs to exist. Gonna save this here. Dictionary of that processed items. And then for this to work, we've got to pass in the dictionary in here. Is there a way to not have that look terrible? Okay, now we need item processing category. All right, that's good. Change it to be read only by removing the property setter. Do we ever do this in the save data? Copy path CDO to that, and then dictionary. Yes, we do. It's not read only there. Oh, we put a get there. I see. There we go. All right, nice. And now this works. And now we just need the process items tracker to have a get save data, which is something like what the farm has. So just copy this over there. Process save data. Okay, so all we need to do is return a new processed items. Easy, easy. And then we just need a load function. Public void load from save data. Also easy. And then we just go plug this into town. So when we get the save data, we're going to save the processed items. Oh, we don't have this yet. Okay, so let's do, how do I want to do this? I don't know yet. I think I want to save it like that, but I haven't decided. And that is saving? Yeah, so then loading, we can just load this immediately. Load from save data. And then we just save that thing, right? Ground item source items are ground. Ground items? Is there no... Oh, okay. I guess it's saved like that. What about the scene items tracker? Yeah, this is pretty much what I wanted here. We make a new one of these. There's no argument that corresponds to the required parameter processed items. Excuse me? Oh, I have save data typed? Whoops. It's supposed to be tracker. Oh, whoops. That probably means I messed up the other parts of this then, huh? Ah, there we go. Same thing with this. All right, I think we're in good shape there. But this means that the save file is going to try loading from this and it's not going to exist, right? What does that mean? Oh, what does that mean? Let's just try running it and find out. It's probably going to break everything. Too hot. Can't get out of this hoodie. Like backed up against a green screen so I can't move the chair. I'm actually going to rearrange this office. So let me draw you all a picture. This is the room I'm in. This is a window. And the door is over here. And I am in this general space. Desk. So I'm not totally sure why I did this originally. I think because there's a plug on this wall and a plug somewhere over here or something like that. And there's no plug on this wall. But I'm going to rearrange the room so that I'm facing the window. And part of the reason why, I bought some new speakers, and you're supposed to arrange speakers such that it forms an equilateral triangle with like you here and then the speakers here and here. But the speakers themselves should also be far enough away from the wall. I don't really have a way to do that with my current setup. I'd form a not equilateral triangle by doing something like this. So I'm just going to rearrange everything and put all this stuff here and then also away from the window. I'm great at diagrams. All right, so we've got this thing now. Now, every time the guild master gets an item, it can emit upward that it got an item. So this will be item ID int turned in adventurer item. Oh, it can turn in multiple? No, it can't turn in multiple. Only multiple in terms of quantity. All right, this should work. Adam Cad. Guild master. All right, so now this is going to call into, well, I guess this thing already had access to the town, so I guess we don't really need to do anything special, do we? Unless we do want an event for this, and I'm not certain we do, and I'm not really certain my Windows use the town for this anyway. I don't even need to emit an event if the guild master themselves could have handled it. But this would have taken the processed items tracker. It doesn't exist. What? What is going on? Process items tracker is right there. Get private say. Yeah, this should be right. Why can't the guild access this? Processed items tracker. Huh. Press F12 and it works. Even this works. All right, add adventure item collected. So this is just taking the item ID and the quantity. Cool. Object reference. Oh, the guild doesn't have the town? Are you kidding me? It doesn't. All right, well, that was pointless. Let's just delete this then. And we'll do this instead. Item.id and item.quantity. Isn't this add adventurer? Adventurer items collected? All right, we're going to say add adventurer item. And this would be like add general process item or add process item by category. Yeah. So then this function can be used from inside the guild master. All right, there, we're finally fine. So let's go try this out. Let's see what it's like, first of all, to load from a save file here. I'm waiting for the game to take over my focus. Yeah, there. Now wait for a second longer so it doesn't retake it over, and then go to this. Save data, save.json. We should not have a process items tracker here. We don't. So if I try loading from a save file, what happens? It breaks everything. Object reference not set to an instance of an object. Load from save data, process items tracker. All right. So the way I've been doing this in the past is we just invalidate all old save files. Playtesters aren't going to care, but people playing the demo might care. And I don't think we do anything about that. We just go to game saver and we bump the game version up to 7. Care about what? Is that what you meant to type? Care about the old save file not being usable anymore? The reason I say playtesters shouldn't care is because they already have to deal with like a cutting edge version of the game. But yeah, demo players will probably care. So now if I try loading the game, it's not going to fail. It just says, sorry, save files from older versions won't be supported until the game actually launches. That way we can move fast and break stuff. We start a new game instead. Yeah. Oops. Let me open Discord from that. Yeah, so that's it. That's what's going to happen. It's just going to have that message. And now let's go try this out. Let's keep our save file open over here. And we're going to run this game again. And this time we're going to bring a couple items to the Guildmaster. Let's just do that and click a couple workers. So it's just going to randomly pick like 5 or 6 of them. Yeah, so we got 2 mage items, the archer 1, the mushroom, and the skull. So let's just remember 2 mage, 1 archer. So there they go. And now we hit save and quit. And now in our processed items tracker, fire rod 2, green quiver, mushroom, summoning totem. Okay, this is good except for it's saving their names. I don't want to save their names. Hang on one second. Abby. I swear, this cat is like an expert hunter. But then I'm sitting in a room all day and she's meowing like she doesn't know where I am. Abby. Huh, she walked away. Strange. Wonder if everything's okay. All right, so we have an item converter. How does this work? We need to use the item converter. Only problem is I don't know how this actually functions. Oh, it's for items proper. Oh, how do we convert item IDs? Reader.getIn32. Dread. Hey, Krasner. It's nice to see you. Hope we smashed it this week. I appreciate that. It's been very productive so far. I was working over the weekend. Saturday, I organized all this new stuff I designed on Friday. And then yesterday, I started coding it. Then today, we refactored a whole bunch of different systems. We got all the event handling a lot better, deleted a lot of code. And now we're finally blazing a new trail here. We are trying to make it so that any adventurer items you find from chests will actually power up your adventurers. So we're almost certainly not going to finish with this today, but I'm getting started on it. So we're just working on saving this data. Unfortunately, it's saving as words. I wanted to save as numbers. And I think the only way to do this... Actually, wait a second. I wonder if we could... Let me try something. What if we just made this an int? I guess we lose the type safety of this. But that is effectively what I want to save this as. Are all enumerations int 32s? No, it doesn't matter. What am I talking about? We're not going to have more than like 4 billion items or something. You might have more than 4 billion quantity, but you're not... The number of items we have won't be more than probably like 100 even, or 200. So it doesn't matter. What does matter is that this thing gets saved correctly. So this looks fine. This is also why encapsulating this was nice. So we can't just return processed items now. We need to make a dictionary out of... we need to convert all this to integers. There's got to be a better way to do this. I don't want to make a new dictionary of all of these dictionaries, but just with ints instead of item IDs. Yeah, I think it's going to be really tedious. All right, so we do this with IDs as ints. Hey, Darkstorm. Now we iterate over all these things. So item processing category. Then we add this. Cannot convert key value pair processing category into item processing category. I don't want to do that. I want to get this from the keys. Yeah, then go through all item IDs and set this like that. Perfect. Cool. And this doesn't need to be KVP here. This can be item ID, comma, int quantity. And then it just knows how to complete that. Can we just make this an int here? No, that fails. Cannot implicitly convert to an int. An explicit conversion exists. Are you missing a cast? An explicit conversion exists. Can you just do like... Oh, apparently not. Okay. Okay, cool. Then for this, we got to do the opposite, which is rather unfortunate. So for each item processing category in the save data, set the category to nothing. This is actually not how this should work. We should null out the whole dictionary, which is what we do in the constructor. So I should do that, public or private void clear dictionary, and put this up there. And then we start when loading from save data with clearing the dictionary of whatever was there, which should be empty. Yeah, wait, it should always be empty, right? So I guess all we need to do is make sure this category exists in the other thing. Yeah, maybe clearing the dictionary is not needed. Eh, you never know. Let's just leave it there. All right, so what are we doing here? We're making sure that the category exists. Actually, this should probably throw an exception or something. Print error. Why don't we want to save the enumeration? Because it stores the name? Yeah, because it stores the name. That's what we see here. And I don't want it ballooning save files for no reason. Also, if you ever change the name of the items, then it wouldn't be able to load anymore. And I just want to keep the IDs. Should we write a generic enumeration to int converter instead? Could we do that in this case? Like ideally, I just want to hand it a dictionary of dictionaries of these things. Because here's what we have is a dictionary of other dictionaries with item IDs. And what we want is the exact same thing, but with ints here instead. Why are you casting them in int anyway? Yeah, so that the names don't save to the files. Wonder if we're going to need this somewhere else. I don't think so. Also, this is why saving them like this is actually a good idea. But yeah, these things could potentially be cleaned up in the future. All right, so print error found unknown category in save data. I guess we could just add it anyway. No, wait, that wouldn't make any sense though. Then it wouldn't even be an item processing category, right? Why don't you want to store the names? So imagine if, let's say, we had a typo in mushroom or something like that. We can now never fix this in the code. So if we made this look like mushroom again, then anyone with a save data that has mushroom would be they would be broken. It wouldn't load anymore. That's why I want them to be ints. So in this case, this represents just a failure to load this save file. I guess we wouldn't ever have this happen if people didn't tamper with save files. So I guess we just shouldn't even worry about this, right? All right, so go through each item ID and just set it. Yeah, that's it. There, we're done. Okay, let's try that out. So we're going to make a bunch of items, bring a few of them over. All right, so what are they grabbing? Paladin. Oh, they took some treasure chests. All right, they got 2 cleric scepters. So let's save once I get the 2 of those. Yep, cool. So 2 cleric scepters, paladin, and I think the golem. But now it's not going to be obvious what they are. Oh, they're saving his they're saving his strings. Well, what is 91 the cleric scepter? Yes, holy scepter. And 108 should be the paladin shield or something. Guardian shield. Yeah, cool. And as long as we're checking here, 81 is fire rod. I didn't see them bring a fire rod, or that probably happened. Why are these saving as strings? And do they load correctly? Load. They seem to. I guess if I save again, we should have this exact same thing here. No, now it's saved with a 180 there too. Oh, that might have been on its way in. Jason keys must be string. Oh, yeah, you're right. Right. Wait, no, do they have to be? They must have to be. And it just knows to read them in as integers again. I guess in JavaScript, you can write them however you want. So you can have an object and say 50 equals something. And there's some like JavaScript playground thing I can find easily. Sure. Okay, so let a equals the dictionary, and then a 50 equals high, and then console.log a 50. Yeah, so what I want to check, I guess, is everything that's in A. Yeah, so it's JavaScript I was thinking of. And even then, that might actually be a string I didn't check. Not sure about making a converter. Would need a test. My assumption is yes. In GameSaver, we register a enum converter item ID, and it would know to convert those keys. Oh, interesting. I guess I hadn't thought about that. I have an item converter. If I had an item ID converter, I guess. What if everything uses that? Like, where else do we end up saving item IDs? Wait, scene item IDs has a bunch of them. What do we do there? Why did I even think about that? Scene items tracker. Is there save data here? We just save this directly? How does it know to... All right, color me confused. Yeah, they're being saved as item IDs. What's going on? I don't do anything special here, do I? No. What? How did those save fine? What? Huh. Yeah, huh. Okay, let me try something here. Let's go to town save data and let's save public item ID testeroni get set. Actually, I don't even care. I can just write it in right now, right? Holy scepter. Okay, let's try saving that. May even be a config in that case to use the int. Yeah, that's a good point. Kevin, this is why you need to get down from your ivory tower. There, we all said it. We all agree. Testeroni. Yeah, nice. That did save correctly. So yeah, it might be a special dictionary thing. So C# save JSON dictionary without, or like convert enum keys. If you hover over it like this, it goes faster. I want to save it without the enumeration keys, right? Oh, this is like the whole proper parsing thing. I don't want that. It's not what I want. How to serialize an enumeration dictionary key as a number. Oh, nice. That's exactly what I want. You can write your own custom converter, which will support writing dictionary keys. Example usage says which JSON converter to use for it. Or use JSON string enumeration member converter from macros.json.extensions. Huh, I wonder how they coded this. Wow, it's a lot of downloads. 18 million. So yeah, just make a write as property name. Interesting. Okay, so this is pretty much what we would need here. And we have an item converter already. I guess we save like item ID converter. Why is this just in here? What is this doing? This should be in the save system, right? Why is this here? Oh, tisk, tisk, tisk. Doesn't that mean all of our other converters are in the wrong spot? No, that one's in the right spot. And that one is too. It's just this one that's in the wrong spot. And it's only used by the save system, right? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Fine, let's save. Oh, let's do that afterward. I'll just write that down on the list after this. Move item converter to save system. All right, well, in the meantime, let's go save a converter that was in the right spot, vector, I guess, and save this as item ID converter. So this is a JSON converter of item ID. Item ID converter. All right, so we do this. Read, not implemented. Should probably get item ID, right? Right. Value.toString D. Sure. Okay. So now we just say to use this item converter. Oh, that's off by a line. Wait, do we use these in multiple places? Why did that show up multiple times? Huh. Maybe I'm mistaken. All right, now we go back to what we had originally and everything works great. So let's turn this off for a second and let's do this. Let's have this be a dictionary of item ID to int and have it automatically save as this. How do you do this correctly? Like that. AI. Okay, so we're going to test this out and it should save with the words holy scepter. So I click save and I go reads me some words. And wouldn't you know it, there it is. But then we put in the item ID converter and we do the exact same thing. And now it should save with the number and it should load correctly too, although we can't tell the loading unless we actually test out the tester-only thing. Save. That broke. The method or operation is not implemented. So it doesn't know how to read this thing. So I guess that was left as an exercise for the reader. It's not that hard to do. There's only write as property name. Shouldn't there be like a read as property name then? Public override read as. Yeah, there is. All right, so shouldn't this just be reader.read? How'd I do this for the item converter? Because I remember this being pretty difficult. Yeah, there's a start object, a read, or whatever else. I guess it's just going to be a string. So just reader.getString and convert it into what we need it to be. Reader.get in 32. What does this read? It might be that. Like that might be how this is supposed to function. I don't even know why these are overridden. Because we probably have item IDs and they're trying to use this anyway. We might need to actually implement that. Yeah, no, it's still broken. Method is not implemented right. What's trying to do that? There'd be no way to tell, right? Gamesaver.save line 52. No, it's just all of this stuff. So we need to figure out what it's trying to write. Type to convert. I guess because I use this all over the place. Okay, fine. Well, it's not that hard to do. We do reader.read and then return this. The exact same thing, right? Except for this is going to be a string that we then need to convert into an integer. Get string. And then C# parse string as int. I did this all the time in JavaScript, but I've never needed to do this in C# for some reason. It's just int.parse. Int.parse. Possible null reference argument for parameter s. This can return null. It shouldn't. Okay, now we just need the writer. Writer.write number value. Yeah, that's it. So we exchanged two functions in the caller for a generic converter that can be used many different times. Hey, nice. I think it finally worked. Neat. It did. And now any other item IDs should be showing as that too, which I don't think we have any because I just made a new file. Yeah, but if we just granted any items, for example, we did this and then saved. Now we should have a whole bunch of these, right? ID 4. Where are the scene items? There they are. Okay. Looking pretty good. I imagine this could even be made generic over any enumeration. Enum as int converter. Or T as enumeration. Yeah, probably. I don't know if we have any other uses for that yet. But we definitely have this as a use. So now what we do is we go and fix, well, we get rid of this. And then what do we do? We go change processed items tracker save data. So this goes back to being an item ID. And then same thing with this. Hey, VibeHub, how you doing? Processed item tracker. Yeah, so this can just be saved as exactly what it used to be. So we just delete all those lines. Actually, before we delete all the lines, let's save all of the lines. Save the animals. Oh god, this is difficult. All right, did that work? No. Still gotta go back further. All right, there we go. There's the old file. How's it going? It's going well. We've done a lot of stuff and it's felt good. Made some good progress. We have at least highest elite levels defeated. Oh, is that using the instance data? I did not look at that. Highest elite level. It is. Ooh, good call. Okay, gift and points all around for this. Yeah, so this is going to invalidate the save data for another reason. We're going to have to write that down. Need highest elite levels defeated to use a special converter. We should genericize the item ID converter. All right. And then I'm going to say, write a note about this in Obsidian. Okay, have I fixed this? Who knows? Let's just try running it and find out. All right, so we grant some items. We grant a bunch of workers. We speed this up. They're bringing a bunch of stuff over. All right, so I saw a cloak and a quiver go in. Let's at least remember that. Cloak and a quiver. We should see those down here. So one of those should be a cloak and one of those should be a quiver. Shadow cloak, 131. Oops. Yeah, there's 131. And then the quiver, green quiver is 58. Yeah, good, cool. Okay, so we got those. Now when we load this, oh, it failed. Converter read too much or not enough. Path line 314. This one? byte position in line 9. Well, then I wrote the converter wrong. When we write it, we write a number value. When we read it, we should read a number value, right? I didn't do anything differently, did I? Unless item needs a different thing. What did item do? How do we write it? What is this? UTF-8.get bytes? It's an encoding? UTF-8 property name. This is for a dictionary. Yeah, this is for a dictionary. We just need the int. But then it's just right number. So that's what I have, right? No, I have right number value. I don't even know what that means. What's the right number and right number value? Writes the value as a JSON number as an element of an array. Oh God, there's got to be like 40 million read functions and write functions on here, right? So I see write. What other write things do we have? Write. It's not going to tell me. Can we see? Oh man. Okay, let's just comment that out for now and do base dot write number value. There is no base. Well, we need the options here. I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. I found it. Data has spellbook save data. Extractor has accumulated values. Weapon grinder may have something similar. Interesting. Right, why you would want this to. Which is resiliency against changing enum names. So there's write. What other write functions do we have? Write as object, property name as object, property name core as object. Do I need to overwrite all of these? This is so stupid. There should just be some like generic, just write the things. Maybe that's what write is. And maybe I'm doing something wrong. And this should have just been write number. Right. Oh, whoops, I shouldn't delete all of it. Right number doesn't take one argument. Right number takes a property name. Writes the property name and decimal value as a JSON number as part of a name value pair of a JSON object. All right, so we can't do this. This can't just be right then, can it? Why is this so difficult? Write the value as JSON. Is it giving me? No, it wasn't giving me an error there. It was giving me an error saying it read too much. It knows too much. But I don't see what the problem is. Here I wrote a number with a property, but I just want the value, which is going to be an int of that. And then when I read it, I read a thing in and I get the integer. I don't see what's wrong. Yeah, I don't see what's wrong. This just writes it as a plain value. Is there nothing else? I don't get it. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get what I'm doing wrong. I wrote it correctly. But then, man, all right, I don't know. Like what I mean by I wrote it correctly is the JSON file is correct. Like I can just look at it and I can tell that, yes, this stuff is all fine. If I make a bunch of these again and speed this up, there are no problems right now. So then I'm going to save this and I'm going to try to load and it's going to fail. And then we're going to look at what failed. Line 234. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's failing at byte 9. Read too much or not enough. There's just the one item there. What am I missing? I'm guessing I need to implement like all of the other reads that we have. Yeah, if I didn't implement them, they wouldn't know what to do. But I don't know which particular. Either this is what's wrong, that I'm using the wrong function here, or I am truly reading and writing this incorrectly. I can't imagine I'm writing it incorrectly. It must just be the reader side of things. But how could get in 32 fail? Parses current JSON token value. Maybe because this is an array, but I'm not the one who chose to make this an array. It's an array of item IDs. Okay, let's, how do I even figure out more about this? We just know this is being saved as a hash set. Okay, I don't know. Yeah, let's search for this, I guess. The converter read too much or not enough, C#. Must leave the reader positioned on an end object token of the object where it was originally positioned. What? For arrays, end array of the original array. When writing a read method that parses through multiple levels of JSON. I don't want to do to that level. Huh. I don't know. I wonder if this is because I need to read a token until we get something that's not a number. I don't know why we need to do that. If your converter is converting a JSON object, the UTF-8 JSON reader will be positioned on the begin object token when the read method begins. You must then read through all the tokens in that object and exit the method with the reader positioned on the corresponding end object token. You read beyond the end of the object or you stop before reaching the corresponding token, you get a JSON exception. Okay, so then yeah, it's probably because it's trying to read this array and I read just the first number of it. But in order for me to know what to even get here, that means that I need to like write a full proper reader for an array, which means I got to do stuff like this. But I've got to accommodate objects and arrays. There just has to be a better way of doing this. Second mention options should work if the converter is added as serial line. Oh man. So if you extend JSON converter to convert one thing, C# JSON converter, convert int value, like, I don't know. Yeah, what I want to find out is, do I need to implement every part of read for this? Maybe the official documentation has something here. Right. There are basic converters and there's some other kind. What's the non-basic kind called? The factory pattern? Yeah, the factory pattern. Okay. So basic ones can be used for enumerations. Wait, no. Converters for the following types require the factory pattern. Oh. Okay, so what's the factory pattern for? Create a class that derives from JSON converter factory. Well, well, well. You've led me down the wrong path, Stack Overflow. Override can convert to return true when the type to convert is one the converter can handle. For example, if the converter is for list T, it might only handle list int, string, and date time. Override create converter to return an instance of a converter class that will handle the type to convert that is provided at runtime. Create the converter class that the create converter method instantiates. This is nuts. Hey Maya, thanks for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. It's quite the unique raid message. I hope your stream was good. I am very turned upside down because I'm doing something that I think should be easy that is proving to not be easy. And it's already been a hard day. But yeah, how's it going? It was great. Thank you. Did Rust for the first time in ages. It was so much fun. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I've only ever been in the learning Rust phase. I haven't ever been in the using Rust phase. Their implementation is pretty wild. Probably not worth checking. Well, it makes me wonder, is any of this worth doing? And for those new to this stream, I'm working on a game called Skeleseller. And it's available as a demo on Steam right now. Here's a little trailer for it that I'll just let play in the background. What we're working on right now is we're trying to make it so that item IDs serialize to just a number in a JSON file. And it's easy to write some custom code that does this, but I don't want to have to do this for everything. So I want to write a generic converter that just takes an enumeration value and puts it out as a number. But in JSON, there are arrays, numbers, and objects. And objects are dictionaries. And I think we need to accommodate every one of those scenarios. Hey, Phoenix, factory pattern in C++. What are you asking exactly? What we want is essentially the default behavior, but dictionaries override it. Yeah. Just saw it on your screen. Oh, the factory for C#? There might have been a C++ thing open, but I don't know. There should have all been C# stuff. Maybe it was this that you saw. Yeah, so there are some built-in tools to handle JSON serialization in C#. And they say for this stuff, like this stuff shouldn't be so difficult. They say right here, there are two patterns for creating a converter, the basic pattern and the factory one. The basic pattern is for non-generic and closed generic types. Converters for the following types require the factory pattern. So an enumeration, for example. So we apparently need to make a factory to figure out which converters we're going to have for this. I'm doing pretty well. Actually, today's been a good day. We got a lot of stuff done. And if it weren't for this silly JSON conversion stuff, which was already a problem, but I only just realized it now, we'd have this next part working already. So we just added in, I'll show you what we added. We have treasure chests. So you can start opening a treasure chest. And then this thing is a weapon grinder, which you can bring keys to it. Or sorry, you can bring weapons to it and they'll turn into keys. So I put this here, we'll make a few of them. So I get some keys out. We can use the keys to open the chest. I put a couple of these in there. And now the chest is glowing and it's ready to be opened. And I can click it and it'll open. The items from it spew out of the portal. So that's a little bit of a bug right now. But yeah, so they're going to spit out items like this. And then these can be brought to your guild. And they will power up your adventurers. So what we were doing is we were just getting these things to save over here. And we have them saving. But then this thing breaks in other scenarios. And I got to figure out. There's a public JSON number enumeration converter that I think is what we want. Really? Really? We can just do this and we're done? Where does this come from? Converter to convert enumerations to and from numeric values. The default converter. Okay, how did they do this? Yeah, they used the factory pattern and they made a converter that returns this, which we can't go to. But then what do we even need to, how do we use this? Oh, we don't even need to, oh, it's sealed. We don't even need to extend it. We could have just changed the game saver. Oh my God, if this is true, this is amazing. So we just need to do this and put in item ID and we're finished. And then import this. This does change everything, actually. It'd be great if this worked. I haven't tried it, so it might work. We're about to find out. And it will be quite fantastic if it does, because this code is garbage, and I don't ever want to use it. All right, so to delete this. And now let's go try it out. Oh, please work. Yeah, when I read that you have to use the factory pattern, I should actually chime in on Stack Overflow. In fact, I'm going to write myself a note. This, because I think this is totally wrong. Or at least, well, I don't know. I should chime in anyway. Let me write a note. Chime in on this thread. Okay, well, let's try it. So we do this, we click this, we do one of those, speed this up, have them bring a bunch of items. I see a mushroom in there. All right, now we save, and we should see, no, they're not saving correctly. Saved as mushroom. What do I need to do? Hey, who cares? Welcome in. Happy Monday. Can be used to override use string enumeration converter on individual types or properties. I wonder if we need to customize this just for a dictionary now. Because I'm guessing if I were to load the game, that it loads just fine. Yeah, it did. Okay, so we need to somehow tell a dictionary to use this. Does it ever mention dictionaries in here? Use string enumeration converter on individual types or properties. Where's that? Gets or sets a value that indicates whether the source generator defaults to this instead of numeric serialization for all. Oh my God, wait, really? We could have just set a Boolean on this? All right, where does that come from? Generation options attribute. Is it just this? Is this a thing? Seriously? It's not auto-completing it. Use string. All right, well, I'm going to turn that to false. Does not contain a definition for that. All right, does it come from somewhere else then? Where else are we passing these options? I kind of doubt there's some other thing here. Unless there's another serial. I guess there are a ton of serialized functions. There's serializer options. What is this one? Serializer options. JSON type info. Context. Where do we put this? It's not options attribute. Is this for the serialized attribute? It probably is. Yeah, it probably is. Actually, if I just search for JSON, we should find it, right? There's a bunch of JSON ignores. Didn't I? Oh, here we go. JSON property name. JSON object creation handling. Did it say this was an attribute? It does. Oh, JSON source generation options. JSON source generation options. Well, well, well. All right, so what? We go change. We go change processed items tracker to use that for the dictionary. How do you do this? Is it that? Does this work like how I want it to work? Adds attributes to dictionaries. I think so. But I'm not even positive how you use this thing. It looks like this should have worked. Is not valid on this declaration type. It's only valid on classes. Oh. Oh, well, let's try that now. This is nuts. This is crazy. What am I doing? I'm making a bunch of workers and speeding this up. All right, so they got to bring some items over there. Now we save. Now we go look at the save file. And what did it save as? It's saved incorrectly. Did I? Oh, I think I set it to true. I think that's why. Let me go take a look at that. Process items tracker. Yeah. I want to. Wait. Do I want this true or false? defaults to this instead of this. I think I want it to false. Not sure what you're supposed to do. I'm not sure either. I mean, I guess we can try it in a couple of different places. I would expect it to be here. I should really just make this stuff automatically bring this over. All right, it brought a fire rod. What does that look like now? It's still saying fire rod. Is that because I have... Is that because I have this in here still? I doubt that matters. And maybe I'm putting this in the wrong spot altogether. Maybe processed items tracker is not where this is supposed to go. Maybe this is supposed to go in town save data. I put this here. And then we import this. And we try pretty much every possible configuration because one of these things has to work. And then we try to make it faster for it to give items to the guild. So I guess we just go to nav speed and we set the speed to default times 10. So workers are going to move at the speed of light. They'll move at 1,000 pixels per second, I think. So we should see them darting all over the place. It doesn't? Is it because I need to make a new worker? I actually don't know why that didn't do anything. Probably because they have a specific thing passed in and not using the default parameter. All right, so now we got to save that before I forget. And now we look at this. Still didn't work. What am I doing wrong? So let's change this. So base speed can be this times 10. Yeah, I don't know what else I could be missing here. Unless the whole point of this was for this to be set to true. I don't think that would be the case, but I need to try it. Hopefully we have workers moving at 10x the speed. Alternatively, we can try this on just the, yeah, so they're moving super fast. So now without me speeding anything up, they still drop off an item. It's still failing. All right, there has got to be a way to use this. Gets or sets a value that indicates whether the source generator defaults to the string enumeration converter instead of numeric serialization. So I probably want this to be false. It says user. I haven't got the details. What's new? If you don't mind asking again in like 20 minutes, I'd be happy to cover that. But I am like super deep in the context of this thing and don't want to lose my train of thought right now. Maybe dictionary would need this attribute, so we can't really force it ourselves. We need to create our own dictionary subclass. I'd be surprised if that were the case. But let me look this up. Use string converter, C# this on dictionary. How can I deserialize into a simple string? They don't even mention this on here, do they? I want to see where this is. How to enable this for all enumerations. You can apply this use equal true to force all of them to be serialized as strings. I don't want that. I want the opposite of that. This is nuts. All is going pretty well. Just this problem has been ridiculous. Like, I just don't get this. JSON serializable type of the enumeration. Instead of using the enum converter type, you can apply a blanket policy by using this, create a JSON serializer context. This, what? The context gets annotated? Hold on a second. That's completely different from what I thought. I don't even know where you put the context. What? What? Where do you use the context? Create a partial class that derives from JSON serializer context. Specify the type to serialize by applying that to the context class. Call a method that takes the context. I think we have something that takes the context. Here we have options. Is there a way to pass in options and a context? No. I don't believe I saw any of those. is the only one. Maybe context takes in the options. It does. Oh my God. Okay. 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 Let me get this straight. So we gotta have a context that wraps the options. The context we need is something we annotate ourselves with this property, so it applies to everything. Usually applies to model classes together with JSON serializable. Wait, so the route I'm about to take is not a smart route because I want to try this out. So we do this and we save this as a context class. And we put an item ID here, I guess. I don't know. And then set this to false. Do I speak Spanish? I do not speak Spanish, no. So we call this is context 2. Now we need to somehow pass in options for this. Do we make a new context 2? We do this in a few different spots. So here's what I'm going to try. We're just going to replace all the spots, and we're going to say new context 2 options equals serialized options. Now that fails because options cannot be assigned to, it's read-only. Okay, so when you make a context, do you specify the options in there? What are the constructors for this? Please tell me one takes in options. It does, great. Okay, this isn't so bad. Except for that fails too. I'm gonna go crazy. All right, there's another argument that's missing from here. There's in serialized somewhere. Here it is. It takes in the no, this is too much. Wait, where'd serialize with just the context go? There's serialize async. It's one of these. It takes in a stream of value in an input type. And what am I taking in originally? Oh, here's the one we have. Takes in a value, an input type, and a context. Value, input type, context. And this is value options. So I don't know what input type is. Input type, the type of the parameter of the value to convert. Okay, input type colon. What is this type? I don't even see input type here now. Create a context and annotate it both with this and with that. Yeah, so that's X is a class you want to apply this to. Oh, wow. And this is just a system type? I don't understand this at all. This is related to C#. So how do I use the context though after I do this? Because this looks fine, but I don't know how to use the context. Oh, it magically makes it use that context. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. So type of is all save data. And then we have to specify the options in here, I guess. And generation options. These options are not the serialized options though, right? Where did this come from exactly? Because I don't think we can put right indented in here, can we? We can, but we can't put use string into converter in here. So this contains more options than everything else. Don't we need other converters for this too? Converters equals new item converter. I guess this is where we need to say type of item converter. What is this syntax? They're just types. Oh, does this take parentheses? Yeah, it does. Okay, I see. All right, so we need all the converters. It's so dumb. It's just so dumb. And then we need the type info resolver, polymorphic type resolver. I really should have written a note about this. Yeah, because I have no idea why that was ever used. All right, so type info resolver. That's not even a thing we can pass in. No, there's not a way to pass that in. I think we need to pass in the serialize options on top of this. But right indented, sure, let's use that. Let's watch as this whole thing just crumbles on me. And then no comma. And what am I missing here? What am I missing? Each attribute should be placed in its own set of square brackets. What did I do wrong here? Unless you can't specify converters. Otherwise, I don't see what I did. What if I just get rid of that? Oh, did it succeed? Was that spurious? Certainly looked that way. Yeah, it was. Okay. And then what? We just don't change anything. There is an extra one. Okay, yeah. Oh man. I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is gonna work. So we just let them bring the mushroom over to there, and then we go take a look at this. Okay, well, it didn't work like that. There must be something else, although maybe it's because this thing is set to true and we should just delete that entirely. Let's do some other things as long as we're here. Just call add items on all this stuff. Skip tutorial. And then also create a worker. Create a few of these. There. So now if I start up the game, it's just going to immediately bring in a bunch of things to the guild master. And I shouldn't need to press anything. So yeah, a whole bunch of items pop up. Just goes over to the guild master. I can hit save. And then look at this. And see that they're the wrong strings. Oh man, I don't. So here's what I think. I think that we need to specify a context somehow, but that part isn't clear to me. Instead of using this, you can apply a blanket policy by using this, create a context class and annotate it with these things. Notice that this doesn't have the converter attribute. But then it doesn't tell you what else to do. It just says make the context. Did they tell you how to use context in some other part of this? Call a serializer method that either takes this instance or takes a context instance. And it's an instance. Yeah, so I should probably have to make this. Here's the context class configured to do source generation. Do they ever make one of these? They don't. I'd love to see what that looks like. Oh, wait, here we go. Dot default dot weather forecast? What type of weather forecast? Oh, look at that. And there is a dot default, which I never would have figured out. I don't even know what that is. All right. Oh, we might not want the default one, though. But yeah, let's look at game saver. This is where we're saving this, and we only use this in one spot, right? Yes. Okay, good. So let's try to change this. Let's do, what is this? Type of? Yeah, type of all save data. Delete that. Put a comma here. And that's it. It works, right? All right, let's try it. This is crazy. You know what's nuts about this is this isn't even the hard part. The hard part was coming up with this entire framework for serializing JSON. Using it should be the easy part. I still haven't gotten it to work. Oh, we're going to figure this out. So serializable, I think this needs to be an item ID. And then I think everything just works, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of gave up on trying to understand this, and now I'm just trying things. right, they brought some items over. Did saving even work there? It didn't. JSON type info metadata for all saved data was not provided by type info resolver. Using source generation, ensure that all root types are passed. Been annotated with, okay, so apparently we do need all saved data to be here. I wonder if I had an error the first time around. I didn't even notice. Along with any types that might be serialized polymorphically. Isn't that the whole point of the polymorphic type resolver? I don't know. I wonder if an AI can do this for me. This is the kind of thing where if an AI did it and you saw that it just worked, you'd be like, oh, that must have been easy for me to do. And I saved myself 5 minutes of time. Little did you know, you would have saved yourself many, many hours of frustrating line changes and documentation reads. And we still presumably haven't figured this out. Yeah, but at least we annotated the right thing there, I guess. So at what point do we flip over the desk and stop working on this? Are we using item ID converter anywhere? We shouldn't be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can just delete this. We don't need a lot of this stuff open anymore. So what am I missing? JSON number enumeration converter. Is that a thing? No. Number handling? Gets or sets the default value of what? Of number handling. What is number handling? Specifies how number type should be handled. Is it much to ask what is this JSON serializer and what you're trying to convert? So serializing anything into anything else is pretty much just like converting formats or representing in a minimal way. So let's say, for example, that I don't know, we had some like, let's say we had like, you had your wallet contents in terms of just money. So if, sorry, this is a dumb idea to explain this. I'll just use Skeleseller as an example. So we have items, and items have IDs, and they have a quantity, and they have a graphic for them and everything else. In order to know how to represent this in a save file, we just need to store their ID and their quantity. The graphic can be looked up from their ID. So essentially when we serialize, we need to save these 2 bits of information. How you save it is the representation you're encoding in a format. So for example, an ID could be something like 1 and the quantity could be 5. And this could be how you save it, 1 and then a space and then 5. Or you could save it with no space if you know that the quantity is always going to be a single digit. Or you can save it in JSON and say something like an object where there's a key ID and that's set to 1, and then the quantity, which is also a property here, and that's set to 5. So we've opted for JSON here, which makes the representation of this human readable. You can tell that this is ID and you can tell that this is quantity. And if you want to change it, you can just change it. So what I'm trying to convert here is we have item IDs and they look like this. There's an emerald ring and a battle hammer, and they're just set to numbers at the end. All we care about is that these numbers are saving to a file and not what the names of them are. Because let's say in the future you recolor this to red. You want to be able to change this to be red flail at that point. You don't want to have to be stuck as golden forever and be like, why is this golden if the graphic is red? So you should be able to just change this. The problem is we have in our save file the names of these items. So let's say there's a player out there and they've collected like 1,000 holy scepters. And then we go and change it and we're like, you know what, these should be evil scepters. Their save file is still going to have the word holy in it. And it's going to try loading an item that won't exist at that point. So I want this to convert to whatever the number is, like 70 in this case, and not have to worry about these save files not being resilient to these changes. So the tricky part is getting this to happen for everything. I can easily get this to work for this one dictionary, but then let's say we have another thing here like, I don't know, items you banned. Maybe that makes sense in this context. It's like, well, now I don't want to have to also make it work for this dictionary and then another and another and another. So that's what this should be promising to do, and it just isn't. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. All we're doing when we save is we're writing this thing using our new context that we have. Oh, this is done using source generation. I see. So yeah, we annotated this with a couple of options. But it says you either use a context or you use a serializer options or you use type info. Because you can't use all of them. Wait, no, the context can include the options, which I did. So I actually shouldn't even need these things, right? I can just comment that out and this. In fact, this would be a good test. If it still writes serialized, then we know that this is working. But then we have no proof that the context is doing anything. Huh. So I need to wait for them to bring one of these over, and then I hit save. And yeah, it's writing indented. If I turn that off, right indented false, all I'm doing is validating like just basic fundamental truths of this, hopefully. So I expect this to now not output indented JSON. So we hit save and we look at the file, and yeah, it's not indented anymore. In fact, this is a lot smaller than I thought it would be when it's not indented. Which serialize and deserialize am I calling now? So all I'm doing is calling serialize with a context. This line has to be correct because it is serializing. It looks correct. It's just not. I think this is wrong somehow, and I just can't fathom how this is wrong. But there was an annotation that we used somewhere else, or should have used somewhere else, that said to convert an enumeration, a specific enumeration. Can we use that? Where's that? Number converter. This is what? Oh, maybe we need to specify this. If I just put this here, what happens? Can you try serialize all save data? I can, but that looks very weird. Let me get to that in a second. Did that fix it? It did not fix it. Okay, let's go try what Kevin's suggesting. Okay, so we get rid of this. And we do this dot all save data. This is so bizarre. And if this works, I'd almost be angry at C# for this. All save data context is context 2 for you, I think. Yeah. All right, so it went and brought a bunch of items there. No, that still didn't work. I don't think there's anything different from that syntax and this syntax. I think these are both the same. Although I will say I think this looks a little bit nicer because I'm assuming this is bringing us a type, but specifically for this context. Yeah, it's probably that. So what am I missing at this point? Or do we need this thing on again? I'm going to try it again. Man, how else could I be testing this to make sure this just does exactly what I need? Maybe I need to annotate something a little closer to, did it fail to save a second time? What happened there? It is failing to save. Instances cannot be modified once encapsulated. Such encapsulation can happen either when calling add context or when passing the options instance to a constructor. What? It looked like the first one worked and then the other ones all failed? What? So I let them bring an item over and then I hit save. And yeah, the first one works. It's very spooky that the other ones aren't working. So now if I hit save again, it's going to fail. Because what? I constructed this once? Maybe you can only make one new context too? Gotta admit, not liking this. Not liking this at all. Does that one work multiple times? Is he able to find the options in the context and just use the default type info? Okay, even this one doesn't work. But you can't define all the options in the context if you're talking about up here because it doesn't have something for this polymorphic type resolver. So like, how would you do that? Type info. Yeah, there's no resolver here. Oh, it tells you what all the things are. Bizarre that that's not an option though. Like, why do they not have parity with the other thing here? Resolve. Yeah, I don't know. I'm also not sure why you can only construct this once. I guess if there were parity, we wouldn't need a context. We could just use the serialize options. So what's the problem it's giving me? Cannot be modified once encapsulated by a serializer context. Oh, I'm passing the same options to multiple contexts. That's probably why. And the context is probably modifying the options. But this is a static read-only thing. So we just pass in. This is a mess. Private, static, JSON serializer options. It'd be nice if I typed that right. Get options. Return new. I just want all the same options that are down there. Yeah, that looks good. So now we just delete this. What's the problem here? Just says it's unused. There's no argument that corresponds to the parameter type. What did I mess up? Type info resolver. Converters. Right indented. I don't see a problem. Oh, there's no semicolon. Yeah. There's probably something else that's wrong there too. So now get options is going to return a new thing every time. Does not contain a definition. Is this because I'm getting the wrong thing? It is because I'm getting the wrong thing. Hooray. All right. So that should let us save multiple times, albeit with the wrong code. And then this stuff's going to fail because I didn't write get options. Annotation source generates that for you, so you wouldn't need the polymorphic resolver, but it may need more tweaking to get the actual format. My brain is mush. I should go pet my cat. What am I missing at this point? Can I save multiple times at least? I think I fixed that problem. Yeah, I did. All right. Not that it's doing anything different every time. We're still getting the word values out of these. I guess every time we deserialize now, we can do the same sort of thing. I think this looks slightly nicer if I were to do it this way. So now let's deserialize with the same method. It should load. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. It doesn't load. It hates me. What's failing? Without a parameterless constructor of a component. This would imply it's not using a converter correctly. Huh. I don't know why that would happen though. New context to get options dot version save data. This actually has no way of doing this. Version save data. This doesn't need anything special. This doesn't even need options for it. It doesn't need converters or anything. This one does. Yeah. So now I should be able to load. I can't. It can't figure out how to. Oh, is this the no polymorphic whatever? No, that's not possible. I use this. Well, I try to consult AI. I'm not sure. I'm going to need to probably resume this at some point. Why would component fail all of a sudden? Components. They're, oh, wait. They're failing because they haven't been written correctly. Oh my God. What is that even? What's even going on? So they're not saving with their components. So I did break saving because that's not what a save file is supposed to look like. The problem is I don't know how I broke that. If this is true, does that fix it? It's gonna not address the original problem I had, but it might make it so that components are being saved correctly. In which case we need to figure out why one is saving and another isn't. No, they're still not saving correctly. Well, color me surprised. I honestly don't know. The only thing I can think is that we got to go back to this style, this being get options. And now it's going to save correctly. It may not be using the polymorphic converter when calling with a context. In which case, there's kind of no easy way to do this. So this is what we used to have. Yeah, now components are being saved correctly. But the items aren't? Or did I just not save? Yeah, the items aren't. All right. Well, this is a mess. Let's write in the old journal. And while that's doing that, didn't someone have some like message somewhere about if you wanted to accomplish this, here's how you would? And it was some difficult thing. I don't know. The day refactoring code. I overhauled the input handling systems and then struggled with JSON serialization of item IDs. Well, we filled out the journal. Oh, try out new speakers. All right, so we got to write a where I left off or something here. I couldn't get item ID to serialize as an int without writing custom code, which I think we still have open here. Yeah. Without writing code like this. Finish the demo for the first time. Couldn't stop playing. It's almost 2 a.m. I'm glad you liked it, BioAim. There's been a lot of positive feedback. Also, you should get some sleep now. But yeah, there's been a lot of positive feedback. I'm actually really grateful that the reviews have been good too. We are, I think, at 45. Yeah. When we hit 50, the all reviews thing should say very positive, which will be nice. But right now, at least it says it for the most recent reviews. Love the demo too. Make sure to review. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah, you certainly don't have to. I haven't been pushing people to do it. It's been organic, except for one person I asked. No, maybe 2 people. Okay, never mind. I did ask 2 people. But I haven't been trying to make like a blanket people should write reviews. I think people should just stick to whatever it is they normally do for Steam games. Oh man. Okay, so yeah, where I left off was this. So problems. If I save with a context, and a context in this case is a JSON serializer context, then components don't get saved, possibly because it's not using a polymorphic type resolver anymore. And if I save if I don't save with a context, then I can't blanket modify all enumerations that get saved. And if even with the context, I never got processed items tracker to save. God, this should have been like the easiest possible thing. And I guess it was pretty easy. We saved and loaded the dictionary. It's just they saved with the enumeration values. And like I said, this is problematic because if we ever want to change any of these names, then we just can't. We need to write a save file migration. So if you ever make a typo or if you rename or recolor something. We just want these to save as numbers. God, it's just so ridiculous. Probably writing a custom converter factory for dictionaries with enumeration keys. It's just ridiculous, though. Raimu, thanks for the tier 3 resub. That is, I believe, 5 times the cost of a regular subscription. And you're almost at 4 years. So it's like you're at 20 years. I really appreciate it, Raimu. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I think you might be right. It's just so ridiculous to me. It makes me wonder, what is this thing even supposed to mean in here? Use string enumeration converter. Like how is this ever helpful to somebody? There's probably some case. How's it work by default? It saves like what you see here. So by default, it will save with the enumeration names and not their values. And I can't have that. The default to JSON string enumeration converter instead of using numeric serialization. So if we just don't use this, it should be using the numeric stuff. There's sources on. Wait, this is not planned? This issue? Close is completed. Why is this close is not planned? Conversation has been locked. This is their implementation. Writing a custom converter for dictionaries. Write object, then write property, then write the actual value. Key converter and value converter. What is this thing? Oh, I hate this so much. It's so much. Okay. All right. Well, we made really, really good progress. I also streamed for way longer than I normally do. What was it? 7 hours? But I took, what, 1 break during stream time? So stupid of me. I should be taking more breaks, if only just to stretch. Yeah, I found this pretty difficult, and this isn't even, this is the bad part about all of this. I want to get to things that actually impact game code, like purchasing treasure chests. And even that's going to take some time to do. But I got stuck on this. Yeah, I am definitely streaming longer than I normally do. You have a moment now to share all the new stuff? Yeah, so since the demo week, I think all the changes are pretty much just 2 categories of things. So one is we added 3 new adventurers. So there's the golem, and if I just unlock all the abilities, like we coded 7 of these abilities and then 3 innate abilities. The mushroom character, again, we actually have 12 abilities here. They have 5 innate abilities because of just how much they do. And then finally the spirit caller. And like all of these play very differently from one another. Not that it matters because you're not directly controlling this. But if I deck out the spirit caller and we just go into the volcano, for example, you can see they have a dog spirit, a cat spirit, a snake, and a fairy spirit. So they can get healed, they can get power upgrades, they can get dodge chance. And then when the spirit caller dies, then all the summons can start dying. So like that's the spirit caller class. The golem class is a tank that can heal itself and throw like giant boulders at the enemies. So if we put one of those into battle. Oh, I have the speed of all projectiles going at like 10 times the regular speed. So they're really like whipping boulders at everyone. So anyway, new characters. The thing I just started working on is this. This is the treasure room. So you can get treasure chests by buying them, which you can't actually do yet. But then they'll just automatically open themselves basically. But if you want to speed that up, you can put keys into the key grinder. So we should have, if I just make enough workers, they should go bring things over here. Yeah, so they bring some weapons over here. They turn into keys. And then if you get a treasure chest, let's bring this up here. You can unlock it much more quickly if I just put 2 keys in here. And then you can open these. They'll give you items. They'll pop out of the portal. I think something was wrong with this. Let me build this and this and this. And then I need to be able to afford this thing. There we go. Okay, so yeah, what happened there? It looked like things did not work totally fine there. Yeah, maybe it's working fine. It doesn't show what items you got. Yeah, they pop out of the portal right now. So you'll see them appear here. And then they get picked up pretty much immediately. That was just out of laziness at the time. I wanted to get this kind of working end to end and worry about the animation later. But at least the animation looks good. And then, yeah, once items pop out of here, they'll start flying to probably the warehouse. Yeah, so anyway, the idea here is that the things that pop out of chests are going to be these sorts of items that are specific to a particular adventurer. So for example, this says this would power up the golem or this would power up the witch doctor. They'll be brought to your guild and then you'll see your stats rise for the corresponding class as they get more and more of these items. So yeah, that's the bulk of what's been done. Next Fest was a month ago. So that's pretty much the progress in a month. What you're not seeing in the game is all of the game design behind all of that stuff. So like it took a long time to design the adventurers. It took a long time to design the treasure chest system and everything. And our original design for treasure chests was going to be that they would just give you loot that you would sell in your shops. So imagine that, right? You get a treasure chest and it pops out with a bunch of swords and armors. It's like, well, if they're worth opening, then they're really worth opening. So now why are you getting any other items? And how is the system balanced and what's the point? So we change it to you're going to be purchasing treasure chests, which will then give you these power-up items, which you bring to your guild. So treasure chests are going to be the main way to spend money at the end of the game. So once you've spent on all of your perks that you're getting, you don't really have a need for money anymore. So yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Abby's really meowing right now. I should get going. It's her food time. I don't usually stream this late. Let me go find someone to raid really fast. Is there a max buff limit? There probably won't be, but it's going to be sort of naturally limited by, like experience points. So imagine if to get to the next level, you need like double the number of experience points, but it's not giving you double the effect. So at some point, it's not going to be all that helpful for you to pursue. I think I'm just not going to raid anybody. It's just easier. Yeah, I'm going to just log off. But thank you all for being here. I'll share some links. We'll try it soon. Yeah, thank you. If anyone wants to join Discord, there's a link. I'll be back online tomorrow. I'm only going to be streaming for maybe a couple of hours. Hopefully we can figure out these stupid JSON problems. If not, maybe we just move past it and leave it as it is and save it for later. Thank you all for watching. Have a good evening. Goodbye.